What's up, everybody? We got to talk about one of the MCU's most scrutinized movies, The Marvels. I'm going to be completely honest about the good and the bad, but there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet and don't want to be spoiled, save this video and come on back once you watch the movie. However, if you want to know if it's something you're even going to be interested in and don't mind minor spoilers, I'll be doing a quick uh, kind of limited spoilers breakdown of the story in this first section of the video right after this, so that might be something that's of use for you. Let's get right into that before the rest of my review. The movie starts as we kind of catch up with everyone. Carol's living in space. Kamala's story picks up just before the post-credit scene of her show, and Monica is set up at the Saber Station working with Nick Fury. Then we meet our villain, Darben, who is looking for the Bangles, or as they're known across the galaxy, the Quantum Band, so that she can restore Hala, the Kree home planet. As Carol engages the Kree, we start to see the Marvels switching places they're not sure what's happening just quite yet. But once Fury and Monica go back to Earth, to Jersey, to Monica's house, they figure it out and they go team up to get Darben. The first planet they go to is already in trouble, but what they do makes things worse as they force Darben to attack when she maybe was going to hold off at least for a while, but was inevitably probably going to attack. Darben steals the planet's air, and they have to evacuate as many people as possible, which makes Kamala upset that they can't save everyone. Then they head to the second planet as they work on using their switching uh, when they use their powers to their advantage, but once again they fail as Darben steals that planet's water, it seems. It's kind of not shown totally, but this time Kamala does get them out of there because she thinks Darben's going to get the bangle and she can't let that happen. So I do think Darben got the water. And in a final effort, they head back to Earth to stop Darben from taking their son, and they are successful in this effort, but at a grave cost. That's all I'll say for now. I'll address the end a bit more after I talk about my pros and my cons, but for those who were looking to see if they're interested, I hope that helped. And if it did, I'd appreciate it greatly if you subscribe to the channel to help out, and hopefully I'll see you back here whenever you watch the movie, whether you head to the theater this weekend or whenever you can, or wait for Disney Plus. Now comes the true spoiler section, so if you're dropping off here, have a great day. I'm going to get my cons out of the way so we can end the video on a more positive note. Number one on the list, and this was a really bad one, is Darben the villain. It's a shame because the way, I hope I pronounced her first name right, Ashton, did show flashes of greatness, but this unfortunately is one of the worst MCU villains yet. Another one is the second act of the movie. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. It had good moments, but was definitely the weakest part of the movie, in my opinion. That may be because it had the planet where the dialect was in song, and there was a whole musical act in it, which granted was shorter than I expected, but still was the only thing in this movie that made me genuinely roll my eyes. Then unfortunately, the comedy as a whole is going to land in this section, but comedy is, of course, subjective, so this is just how it landed with me. Kamala was hilarious, but whenever there was a comedic moment without Aman Vellani or Samuel L. Jackson, it just didn't work for me personally. And one more thing, I'm done with Kamala's family. They were overused in this movie, and it's a shame because it was a really good dynamic in her show, a really good dynamic in the first act, but they never should have been on the Saber Station. It was just ridiculous. Alright, that's it. I'm going to try and be positive the rest of the way. I don't think I actually went too hard on the movie there, but I'm going to try and be positive the rest of the way anyway. I think I got all my complaints out of the way too, so let's just move on to my pros. First on the list is Miss Marvel herself. Aman Vellani's Kamala Khan was the absolute star of the show, and with the end of the movie will be a key piece in the puzzle that is the MCU moving forward, and I could not be happier about it, and for her really. Then I thought the action sequences, and I do mean all of them, were really good. They felt fresh and creative and were definitely boosted by the fun nature of the Marvels switching places and how they start to utilize that to their advantage. I also thought it had a really fun and enjoyable soundtrack. The score, it was just okay, but the soundtrack shined. It was a really great boost to those fight scenes too. And back to the score for a second actually, I did say it was just okay, but I did think it was outstanding in the third act and final in the third and final act of the movie. I more so meant it was just okay overall. I didn't really it didn't stand out to me in the first two acts, but in the third act it did. And finally, the visuals in this movie were awesome. You have Monica's powers on display, Kamala's powers on display, the incursion, the Marvel switching places, and so much more. It was truly great. Now let's get into the ending of the movie and the solo credit scene, which there was only one of. I guess solo means that if you're someone who still hasn't seen it yet and is still hanging around to find out. So, as I said in the first section of my review, the end of the movie sees how our heroes save Earth at a great cost, so let's break that down first. Dar-Benn fights the Marvels together this time, and they take her down and seem to have a deal worked out with her, but she backstabs them and rips a hole in reality. Monica figures out that if Carol and Kamala blast her with the same amount of energy that Dar-Benn used to open the tear, they can shut it back up, but she has to be inside of it. So they blast her with the energy, she flies into the rip to fix it. But when she starts closing the tear, she tells Carol that she has to see it through on the other side, and she knew that all along. As Carol torpedoes towards the tear, Monica shuts it, and she's lost to the other reality as Carol returns to Kamala as they don't know what Monica's fate is. Back on Earth, Carol's moving into the Rambeau house, or at least that's how I took this scene, to look after it until Monica is back. Also, this is after she reignites the sun on Hala, giving life back to her former planet and keeping her promise to Dar-Benn even after she betrayed their deal. In the final scene of the movie, Kamala heads to New York to make her first recruitment as she meets Kate Bishop and imitates Nick Fury, which was just hilarious to watch Iman do, as we all know she's a huge fan, so I'm sure this was just a joy for her on set, and it was a joy to watch. She says she's forming a team, the Young Avengers, obviously, which isn't mentioned by name, but it's a given, and it seems she'll at least be the founding member, if not the leader. She might be too young to be the leader. She might have somebody else step up, but she's at least founding it, and I do hope Nick Fury's involved somehow too. Then, in the mid-credit scene, we find that Monica survived and is on another Earth, one where the X-Men exist. She wakes up only to have the first person she sees be a variant of her mother, Maria Rambeau. It seems that if Maria had been in Carol's shoes and gotten the power, she never would have had Monica because she doesn't recognize her. But also, I guess if she's in the X-Men, she might not have gotten her powers from the stone like 838 Maria, who was just Captain Marvel, not binary like this new variant. Anyway, Beast walks into the room looking better than ever as it's mocap with CGI, and he really looks like uh, the X-Men '97 animated series version, which makes sense, I guess, because they're bringing that back. But he's being voiced by Kelsey Grammer, who was so good in his awfully written Beast role during X-Men Last Stand. He leaves to give Charles an update on the situation as Monica comes to the realization that she's not in Kansas, or not on Earth 616 in this case, anymore, and the credits continue to roll. Alright, before I wrap up the video with my 5 major takeaways on the movie, I'd like to remind you that if you enjoyed this video so far, you can subscribe to the channel to show your support and help me out, and if you do, I appreciate it greatly. Now let's finish the video. I've got just 5 takeaways I consider to be important to the MCU moving forward to finish this off. 1. Captain Marvel is back on Earth, at least for the time being, which could be very important, all things considered, as she is someone who could potentially go up and take down Sentry when the Void takes over, or at least put up a good fight. 2. We've now seen our first incursion in the MCU. Obviously, it was stopped, but we still know what the start of one looks like as the as the tear draws each Earth, or one Earth towards the other. 3. The Bangles are indeed the quantum bands as they were considered a myth throughout the galaxy, said to have helped forge the universe, only reaffirming the popular theory they're objects from the very first multiversal war. 4. The Young Avengers are most definitely on the way following the final scene of the movie, and Kamala Khan is a shining star in the MCU. And 5. Monica has the ability to stop incursions, give enough energy put into her body, which could be huge down the road. And that's going to do it for my breakdown or review, whatever you want to call it, of the Marvels. It was a fun movie, but it was just okay, so it's going to land at a solid 6.5 out of 10. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel for more content just like it, and let me know what you thought of the movie, only if you've seen it, no bullshit, down in the comments below, and make sure you have a great day.